called somebody up and, you know, they got the little sample.
Yeah.
After that, the rest of the class, do they get a sample? I mean, not a vial, but just do they get to try them?
Okay, that's a good question. That's a good question. I don't do that, but a lot of people do. A lot of people do. I keep it more simple than that because it takes a little bit longer, but a lot of people do, and they've had great luck with it. So I think that's fine. Yeah, go ahead.
Hi, this is very minute, but right now I'm noticing that in our classes it's good to distinguish pure essential oils, and I'm seeing that it's here. And I just noticed in this portion it says that is why essential oils are more affordable. And I thought it would be nice to just put that is why pure essential oils are more affordable. Because we are a different kind of oil.
Yeah.
And it's pure.
That wasn't a question, it was just a statement. Good job. All right, over here.
Do you ask everyone to hold their questions to the end of the class? Because if I don't, I cannot get it in 45 minutes.
Okay, this is such a good question. Thank you for, so I'm gonna give you a tip. You know the people that are always saying something? They're constantly asking questions, and doesn't it drive you crazy? It's like the same person. It's like, and her name is usually Anne. I don't know why, but it is, right? And it's like constantly. So I definitely control the tone. I don't open up for questions. I don't do this, by the way. This is just for you. I never open up for questions. But if Anne is always saying something, what is Anne wanting? She just wants attention. And so I just simply look at Anne and I say, I see you have so many good questions and I really want to answer them well. Is it okay if we can spend just a little bit of personal time after? And I'll go over everything individually with you. And she's like, yeah. So if she brings up again, so she gets attention, she's important, Anne knows that, everyone knows that, it's good. She can drop it. And if she keeps bringing it up, I just look at her and I say, hey, I'll talk to you about it after. That's it. So I do control. I kind of control, and I don't open up to a ton of questions. I just move on. I just keep moving. So it's not like question and answer series at all. So yeah, next.
So on the third cool thing about essential oils, and you're talking about them being cheaper than medications, and you get into the ear infection and cheaper than the doctor.
Yeah.
So in the beginning, we were really told to be compliant.
Oh, this is such a good question. I'm so glad you asked it.
Okay, so where do we go
Yeah,
with that?
what about compliance, right? Do you guys all have that question? Yeah, this is a great question. I'm gonna actually answer your question next and then go back to that question. Is that okay? Go ahead.
Okay, so many times I have an objection about the CPTG certification.
Okay.
When I tell my guests in the class that doTERRA sets the standard, they are like, oh.
Okay, so your question is about CPTG, right?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Let's talk about this just for a minute. Guys, most of the problems that you have in your classes come because you haven't prepped properly. Period. That never happens to me, ever, ever, ever. Why? Because people come to a class, what? With a good experience. They don't care. They don't bring up Young Living. We don't talk about all sorts of things like that. They know that they had a rash, and 3 days later, their rash was gone. They want some more of that stuff, they come to your class and they listen. Are we clear? Most of the problems that come from your class is from your bad preparation or lack of preparation, right? Which is actually the same thing, but anyway, moving on. So it's not preparing them, and so a lot of the worries that you have and questions that come from this class don't exist, they're not existent. It goes away. Remember, all of these people are at a class because they know that the oil works. Those things go away. We're not taking any more questions right now. We already had 5. Sorry. Oh, okay. Just because you guys have been standing there. But I have to answer hers first, okay? So, hold on just a second. And maybe I won't be able to answer it. Like next time, if I say 3, I only have, because we won't have time to get to the end of the class, and then we don't learn the close. We want to close, right? So, here we go. She had a question, and I totally forgot it. Remind me. Oh, okay, compliance. This is a little bit longer of an answer, but I'm going to tell you what it is. Every year, the owners take the Presidential Diamonds on a trip. Do you guys know about this? Yes. We go on a really cool trip, and they spoil us. Well, about 2 years ago, they took us on a trip to a private island. We rented the whole island out, and we were there. David Sterling gets to the front of the class, or the front of the room, and we play most of the time, but about 3 hours or 4 hours, we talk. And he said this, he said, why aren't you guys sharing your stories anymore? Do you remember 2 years ago what was going on about 2 years ago? Everyone kind of stopped, you know? Well, basically what happened is, with compliance, I remember years ago, sitting in David Sterling's office, and he looked at me and he said, it's not a matter of if the FDA is going to come after us, it's a matter of when. And we're prepared for it financially. They already knew. They knew it was going to happen. And so when it did happen, what they did is, here is a pendulum. And somewhere in here is the appropriate amount that we can share or not share. And the pendulum had swung definitely in the field way over here. We were sharing way too much, posting way too much online, being way too open, and basically the FDA was really afraid that we were prescribing. You're clear on that, right? Yeah. So what doTERRA did to save our businesses and to save our checks is, they took that pendulum and they swung it all the way over to the other side. Not in the middle. They swung it all the way over to the other side so that the FDA would be absolutely clear that doTERRA is absolutely willing to work with them and become compliant. This is when all of our businesses, or all of our online websites, got shut down, right? The FDA didn't ask us to shut all of our websites down. This is what doTERRA did to make sure that they were compliant, to make sure that they were in good standings. In fact, every week, doTERRA put an entire team on compliance. And every week they would get like a message or an email from the FDA saying, hey, we found, these 3 things that you need to correct. doTERRA would send them an email and say, we've corrected these 100, and these 3 were in there. And we found these 3 or 5 things. Here's the other 100 that we corrected. They way complied. And if anyone is playing it nicely in the sandbox with the FDA right now, it is doTERRA. They will never leave us. I mean, we're always going to play in the sandbox together, but we are, if anyone is in good standing and playing well in the sandbox, it's doTERRA. So it came time, a couple of years ago, for doTERRA to take that pendulum and come right back in the middle, where it should be. Do you not agree? Yeah. Like, how many of you could really talk those terms? Like, well, my seasonal, whatever that was, right? Pay attention. Like that's not what we normally say, and so most people, what do? They just stop talking. So I remember David Sterling stood up in front of the presidentials and he said, will you please start speaking again? Will you please start telling your story again? Will you please start sharing? And I said, okay, hold on, can we get really clear on something? What do you mean by that? What can we share? How much can we share? And he's like, share your stories like you used to. I'm like, okay. So can I share about my ear problems and that the oils totally help clear up my ear? Yes. Can I share about this? Yes. Can we share about this? Yes. Can we share about Ebola? No. Just kidding. We didn't even say that. That would have been bad. So basically what he said is, listen, share your stories normally, just don't post it online. Just don't post it online. Don't print it down or don't post it online. And the beautiful thing about this class is, watch this. When you're talking, especially when we get to the testimonial section, those people are not signed up. They can say whatever they want to say. In fact, I'm banking on the fact that one of them will come up and say, oh my gosh, I had this lump on my leg and I put something on it and it totally is gone. And I'm like, it's incredible what oils can do with lumps, isn't it? So, are we clear? Yes. Open your mouth, share your stories, right? By the way, doTERRA printed this, and guess what it says in there? Bacteria and viruses. Wait, do we put it online? No. So Justin Harrison did something super cool. I thought it was super smart. He basically said, when he does a webinar, he opens it up and lets people share testimonials. And when they say something very uncompliant, he just simply says, "It's amazing what Melaleuca can do." And that's how he backs it up. Does that answer your question about compliance? Okay, awesome. Over here.
A couple of the girls and I were wondering why the roof of the mouth?
Just because I said it like that? I don't know. The roof of the mouth. Just because it's kind of weird touching your tongue? Actually, the reason why, do you guys really know why? Do you know why? If you put it on the roof of your mouth, it actually not only are you getting it through your airways here, but it goes easier through your nose too. And you breathe it in easier. So it kind of sticks there a little bit easier. That's all.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, next.
So we talked about the people who want to get attention. For those who aren't looking for that, they just have questions and want to learn. And when you bring up like the examples of ear infection, they ask questions about it or just throughout. How do you just say, we'll cover that in continuing education? Like to all those questions at one, at a time add up.
So I'll tell you what I do, and I don't know if this is duplicatable or not, but I control the environment in my class. I talk enough and I talk quick enough, and I make sure things are happening, and I go to the next thing, and if somebody brings something up again and again, I'll control that, right? But I have very few questions in my class. People come, they know the oils work. If I just control, I lead the discussion. I'm not quiet a lot and just like have people, where the questions come up is at the very end when I'm kneeling one-on-one with them. That's what happens in this class most of the time. If I did have a lot of questions, I could say, hey, I'm gonna sit with you one-on-one, I'm gonna go over that. So I control the momentum of the class. One last question and we're gonna move on.
Did you know that putting a drop of peppermint on your finger and put it on the roof of your mouth will stop hiccups right now?
No, did you know that no matter where you put it in your mouth, even on your tongue, because I do it all the time, I'll stop hiccups all the time. It's true. It's true. My husband had it just the other day. He's like, where's the peppermint? Okay, are we ready to move on? Steve, where are we at? 2. Okay, here we go. Now